The search for the perfect gaming mouse can be an ever-ending pursuit. In moments we think we've found it, the ultimate tether to the gaming world, only for a new one to release a month later, which we absolutely need to try. Today I'm going to share my thoughts and experiences with one of the most sought after gaming mice today, and discuss whether I think you should consider the upgrade. So I first want to state that I'm not a veteran when it comes to first-person shooters, although I do play a fair bit of Apex Legends, and my aim is something that I'm always seeking to improve. So before we talk about the Logitech G Pro wireless, let me take you through my very brief upgrade journey when it comes to gaming mice. My first gaming mouse was the Logitech G502 Proteus Spectrum. It looked awesome with its unique shape, RGB lighting, and several programmable buttons, although it was quite heavy at over 120 grams. I hesitated moving to a wireless gaming mouse for quite a while just due to the stigma attached to them, but Logitech did convince me to switch with their new G703. I feel like this was a decent upgrade for my aim, not only because it was over 10% lighter than the G502, but the shape was a lot more ergonomic for first-person shooters and faster movements. Then I wanted to try something a little bit lighter, so I picked up the Logitech G Pro, the wide version that is, and this was my first experience with a gaming mouse under 90 grams. At first, when I tried the G Pro, my aim was absolutely horrendous. My muscle memory was tuned to the much heavier G703, so I did have to compensate by lowering my in-game sensitivity. After some time though, I do prefer the G Pro. I'm able to flick shot a lot easier, and faster movements are a lot easier to control. Then, after watching reviews from Rocket Jump Ninja and Hardware Canucks, I tested out the G Pro wireless. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with the G Pro wireless and don't know why this is so expensive and why it's such a big deal, let's take a look at the specs. So the G Pro wireless is significantly lighter than other competing wireless mice, which are commonly around 100 grams or more. Even the Razer Mamba Hyperflux, which runs on a capacitor, not even a battery, it's still 16 grams heavier. So 80 grams for a gaming mouse is pretty impressive, but 80 grams for a wireless gaming mouse is seriously next level. There's no other wireless mice that can compete at this weight. Generally, lighter mice are going to be a lot better for your aim, quicker mouse movements are going to be a lot easier to initiate and easier to stop, and it also allows you to be a lot more precise, especially at longer ranges. Now, you'd assume that to get to that weight, they'd have to use a tiny battery and that battery life would be quite bad, but battery life here is over twice that of the larger and heavier G703. On my own account, one of the main reasons that I upgraded from the G703 to the wired G Pro was that battery life on the G703 was not great at all, and I found that I had to give it a full charge every 2 to 3 days. The G Pro wireless, on the other hand, I can get a full week out of just on a single charge, and that's with the RGB on, and it helps that the charge time is quite fast as well. The secret sauce here is Logitech's new Hero sensor, which claims 10 times the power efficiency when compared to the 3366, while retaining identical tracking performance and accuracy. The G Pro wireless is an ambidextrous mouse too, so both left and right-handed users should be able to adapt to it quite comfortably, and it does have a fairly relaxed design when compared to something like the wired G Pro. In fact, for a gaming mouse at this level, the design is incredibly understated. The sides are tapered in gently for a bit of grip, and the texture on the mouse is consistent throughout, which is a nice smooth matte plastic. Left and right clicks feel great, a bit on the lighter side to other mice that I've used, and I can appreciate that they're nice and quiet. The scroll wheel feels noticeably lighter and quieter compared to the wired G Pro. And no problems with the scroll wheel either, well suited for gaming and everyday use. You've got 2 side buttons on each side, which can also be completely removed, so you can choose to map these to your desire or swap them out with a placeholder if you don't want to use them at all. I've got the buttons on the left installed since I'm right-handed. The front button shows me the battery level, which illuminates at the top, and the back button I've got mapped to controls in game. You can cycle through your DPI levels now with a button at the bottom of the mouse. Overall, I think this was a pretty good choice, so you don't accidentally press it in game and mess up your sensitivity. The USB receiver can also be stored inside the mouse here if you're traveling with it, and yes, you can remove this bottom cover here to reduce the weight further by a couple of grams. The included cable is quite lightweight and is non-braided, and although I do appreciate the freedom of wireless, I've found gaming with these cables to be absolutely no problem at all. It's the same cable that comes with the wired G Pro, although the connection is a little bit stiffer, although it's still super flexible with almost no weight at all. Now specs are one thing, and here they are seriously impressive, but keep in mind a gaming mouse is not a one-size-fits-all piece of hardware. Not everyone is going to enjoy the G Pro wireless. So keep in mind this area of discussion is going to be completely subjective and based on my personal preferences, my grip preferences, and also my hand size. So keep in mind they may not directly apply to you as well. So the G Pro wireless is what I'd call a medium-sized mouse. It's a bit longer than the standard G Pro, but not as tall as the G703. For reference, my hands are 19.5 centimeters long and 10.5 centimeters wide, so that's on the larger end, and I can use all three of these mice quite comfortably with just slightly different grips. I do prefer the smaller size of the G Pro and the G Pro wireless though for gaming, as they force me to use a bit more of a claw grip, which I find a bit more accurate when aiming. One issue that I've experienced with the G Pro wireless though is due to the side taper where your ring finger and pinky finger sit underneath, and basically I found this to be tapered too low for my hand size. The result is that I often find my pinky finger dragging on the mouse mat, which occasionally messes up my aim, whereas with the wired G Pro this taper is a bit higher, and so I don't experience this problem at all. The same goes for the rear of the mouse, which I feel tapers a bit low, and in my case I often feel my wrist overhanging and causing friction on the mat. Again though, I do have quite large hands, so if your hands are a bit smaller, I'd say that the G Pro wireless would probably be perfect. Especially if your hands are narrower, say around 9 centimeters across, the G Pro wireless would likely be ideal in terms of comfort and fit. Oddly enough, I actually find the wired G Pro a bit more comfortable despite it being smaller, as the taper here is a bit higher, and so I don't experience the same issues. So between these two for gaming, the G Pro wireless and the G Pro, the weight feels identical, 80 grams versus 83 grams. And although I do enjoy the freedom of, the wireless nature of the G Pro wireless, the cable on the G Pro is already super flexible, and I would go as far as saying that when you're actually gaming, that it does feel as good as a wireless mouse. So while the G Pro wireless in terms of specs is pretty much perfect, it really does all come down to your hand size and grip preference in the end. There is the price as well, and at $150 this thing is not cheap. I know plenty of people who just refuse to spend this much money on a gaming mouse despite putting in several hours every week gaming. So there's that. I can highly recommend the G Pro for around $60 if you can get past the cable. Again, personally, I don't find it to be an issue. You can also consider the G703, which I have used for about a year. You do get the benefits of this one being wireless as well, although it is on the heavier end at around 107 grams. So for those of you who have used the G Pro wireless, I'd love to know your thoughts and experiences with it down in the comment section below. For those of you who are interested in any of the gaming mice that we've looked at today, I will also have them linked in the description, so feel free to check those out if you are looking for an upgrade. As always guys, a huge thanks for watching. Consider subscribing down below if you haven't already, and I'll see you all in the next one.